Hi guys, it's me. So I want to thank you guys for joining this madness, and we're just going to jump right into this chaos. This is from Yahoo News. ICE captures Latin King members who placed a $10,000 bounty on Border Patrol chief. This is actually an article from today. Chicago, the Department of Homeland Security said Monday the federal law enforcement had arrested the Latin Kings gang member who had placed bounties on the head of the U.S. Border Patrol chief, Gregory Bovino. According to DHS, they were notified on Friday that Juan Espinosa Martinez has put a hit on Bovino. On Monday, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement announced that Martinez had been arrested in Burr Ridge. DHS said it had evidence that Martinez had used Snapchat to put a $10,000 bounty for Bovino's murder. Quote, depraved individuals like Juan Espinosa Martinez, who do not value human life and threaten law enforcement, do not belong in this country. We will not allow criminal gangs to put hits on the U.S. government officials and our law enforcement officers, said Assistant Secretary Trish McLaughlin. Thanks to ICE and our federal law enforcement partners, this thug is off the streets and behind bars. These attacks on our brave law enforcement officers must end. Secretary Noel had been crystal clear. If you threaten or lay a hand on law enforcement, you will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Good on them for saying that. Hopefully they mean it, because sometimes I hate when these people say stuff like, oh, we're going to do, put this person behind bars, or, go after this politician because they broke the law, but we don't see perp walks. I want to see perp walks. I know y'all want to see perp walks. We want to hold everyone accountable, because if we're the average Joe getting held accountable, so should they. Am I right? So let's go ahead and jump into this clip. This is from Fox News Clips. New alleged gang leader charged with offering bounties on Border Patrol. Let's jump right in.
Protests and rioting targeting the Federal Immigration and Customs Enforcement facility in Portland, Oregon. President Trump now, after another night of that, has vowed to stop the violence in the face of resistance from Democrats and the courts, which in some cases seem to have a lot of Democrats in the courts. The White House appealed a ruling that blocks any National Guard members from going into that city. No matter how needed it is now, the legal blocks that the president is facing, he's going to try to tumble those at each segment so he can get help to the citizens in certain cities. The president really went after those rioters and is promising to find a way to make those cities safer.
Let's go.
Portland is on fire. Portland's been on fire for years, and not so much saving it. That's all insurrection. I really think that's really criminal insurrection.
The Insurrection Act, under what conditions or terms would you?
Well, I'd do it if it was necessary. So far, it hasn't been necessary, but we have an Insurrection Act for a reason. If I had to enact it, I'd do that.
All right, Trump, hit that button.
And in Chicago, hundreds of National Guard members could be on Chicago's streets at any moment now. So we are watching for that development. And the city is facing anti-ICE riots and a fresh set of alarming crime numbers. Just this past weekend, 30 people were shot,
That's
6
like
of them were murdered. However, Democrats in that state seem more focused on going after President Trump and trashing him and federal agents than finding solutions for their own citizens.
Trump and the thuggery that his agents have brought has actively made us less safe.
We are signing an executive order aimed at reining in this out-of-control administration. The order establishes ICE-free zones.
He legally cannot do that. I said in my last video, if you watched it, that the legality of it, because these are federal laws, they supersede any sovereignty of the state laws, because they're the law of the land. So him doing this is just literally him trying to gain votes, because he's a 6.6 rated mayor. Okay, what that basically means in plain English is that he sucks. His numbers have him underwater. He is the worst mayor. Like, people thought Lori Lightfoot was bad. This man is the worst. He supposedly was I think a history teacher or something like that, or a principal. This man knows nothing. Like, he was talking about in the last video about how, the right wants to go at it again with a civil war. Well, we can, they need a reminder. And it's like, Bruh, the Republicans won the Civil War. We were against Democrats because Democrats wanted to keep slavery. Like, I don't know, man. This guy, the rhetoric he's spitting, it's just so he could continue to get votes. That's all it is. He wants to be reelected, and he's passing this nonsense that's just going to get thrown out because they can't do nothing about it. It's federal law. They can't even arrest ICE because they're doing their job. And this man basically is, going to bat for illegals, not for the average American. He doesn't give anything about the average American that are being murked by these illegals that they keep letting out. But let's keep going.
That means that city property and unwilling private businesses will no longer serve as staging grounds for these raids.
It won't work.
The White House quickly responded, posting, "This is sick. He is aiding and abetting criminal, illegal immigrant killers, rapists, traffickers, and gangbangers." Also growing outrage and no real answers, the Chicago Police Department's response or non-response to federal agents who were under threat, an internal message, as well as police dispatch audio, all show officers were told not to respond when a large group of protesters surrounded agents over the weekend.
So disgusting.
The city's police superintendent spoke out. Watch.
Our officers were not told to stand down.
And yet there's audio of it and actual proof, as you saw and I showed in my last video. This guy's trying to save face. That's what he's trying to do, because they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar. They got caught like in wide open that, they were told to stand down, and now he's trying to walk it back. And then you have several police officers also stating, yes, that's what we were told. But let's keep going with the lies.
Officers were out there throughout the entire event. I would never tell our officers to stand down. Sometimes what you hear on the radio does not necessarily reflect what's happening on the ground. There was a lot of miscommunication. We screw something up, we mess up, we fess up, we fix it.
Wait, so the communication across the radio to people may not be correct? How do they know when not to listen to it? Senior correspondent Mike Tobin is in Broadview, Illinois. Mike.
And here's one of the things we can tell you is that the Illinois National Guard is still on its way to Chicago, despite Democrats' attempts to block them. The Illinois Attorney General filed suit asking for a temporary injunction to block the deployment of the Guard. But yesterday, a U.S. district judge refused to grant that temporary injunction, but told the Trump administration they've got until tomorrow to answer questions about when the troops will arrive, what towns they will be sent to, and what they will do once they get here. The administration has already stated that they will protect federal personnel and property. And just a short time ago, you heard from the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, defending the deployment of the Guard to Chicago.
The National Guard is on the way right now as we speak. Oh, by the way, so is Director Patel and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. You're sitting here grilling me, and they're on their way to Chicago to keep your state safe.
Madam Attorney General, it's my job to grill you.
Meantime, a gangland hit was put out on Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino. Federal prosecutors say Juan Espinoza Martinez, who they describe as a ranking member of the Latin King street gang, solicited the murder of Bovino. They presented Snapchat messages reading $2,000 for info on Bovino, $10,000 to take him down, emojis, and a notation LK for Latin Kings on him.
There's going to be more incidents just like this, because it's a war zone out there. Secretary No mentioned a bounty on the heads of federal agents. That's something out of a third world country. Is this America?
And we heard from the superintendent of Chicago Police denying these allegations and the evidence suggesting that Chicago police were ordered to stand down when their federal counterparts were in trouble. And also you have the mayor of Chicago who has now declared ICE-free zones, prompting sharp criticism from the White House. Harris, back to you.
Mike Tobin, great reporting.
Hey, it's Will Kane. Click here to subscribe to the Fox.
Another video because, you got to, because you got to be able to kind of get through all these, BS stuff that these people are saying, which is why I like to kind of spout, research some information, especially when it comes to the Constitution and, Title 10, and when it comes to the Supremacy Clause, which is the thing that allows Trump to do what he's doing in regards to sending in the troops. And, you know, like I said, what Mayor Johnson signed into, you know, through the executive order is not going to work because he can't supersede federal laws. No matter how much he tries to lie to his constituents, he can't do that. Legally, he cannot. And even if he tries to go through the court system, Trump will win because it'll go to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court will tell him, like, nah, bro. Which is why it got shot down when they were trying to do the thing about the troops, saying, like, oh, we don't need to send the National Guard. There's nothing going on in Chicago. This is all ISIS' fault. The judge was like, nah, I saw the videos. I saw all the chaos. Y'all are lying, you know? But it is what it is. So we're going to go ahead and go into this next video, which, again, is from Fox News. Host blasts liberal Chicago leaders because this is getting messy. So let's go ahead and get into this video. I got to rewind it like a dork. I forgot to rewind it, but that's cool.
Meanwhile, what's happening in Chicago?
So Chicago is a mess, and we're seeing so much crime there. We're seeing every Monday morning we get the numbers on how many people were killed over the weekend. You've covered it. And Donald Trump says enough is enough. We want to clean up this city. But the Democrats who are in charge of that city and that state are going against Donald Trump and saying, we don't want the National Guard here. In fact, Brandon Johnson is setting up these ICE-free zones so that the federal agents can't get close to city property.
You can't do that. I mean, so are you going to house people the way you put illegals? You're going to put them back in the State House or in the City Council Center? I don't even understand it. But here's Pritzker and Johnson yesterday.
We cannot allow them to rampage throughout our city with
you,
no checks or balances. Nobody is above the law. If we break the law, you should be held accountable. If Congress will not check this administration, then Chicago will.
I refuse to let Donald Trump, Kristi Noem, and Gregory Bovino continue on this march toward autocracy. Their plan all along has been to cause...
This man is trying to run for president, so he's trying to, you know, be all tough and look good, but he just looks like I gotta say it, he just looks like a jackass, okay? He hasn't done nothing for the state of Illinois. He hasn't done nothing for Chicago. He's only done stuff for the illegals, which is what's pissing off every real Chicagoan, which is why they want to flip the state red, to give a big middle finger to these two jackasses.
Chaos. The state of Illinois is going to use every lever at our disposal to resist this power grab and get Noem's thugs the hell out of Chicago. I'm not afraid. I am not afraid, and I won't back down.
So there's thugs literally running the streets of Chicago.
ICE agents are thugs.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you got gangbangers that are running the streets of Chicago on a day-to-day basis. I haven't heard a press conference from this governor on how he's going to combat crime. Meanwhile, you got Border Patrol agents, ICE agents that are under attack right now. Literally, there's a bounty that was released. Juan Espinoza Martinez, they got his screenshots off his Snapchat because he thought it was just going to disappear. They got him in custody now, but he was releasing that he was willing to pay. And he works for the cartel, of course. 2K on info on these agents, and then 10K if you take them down. Now, what he means by taking them down is assassinating them.
Yeah, you heard the governor talk about Greg Bovino. If you don't know who he is, he's the chief patrol agent. And DHS is saying that this guy who you're talking about, Lawrence, allegedly placed a bounty on the commander-at-large of the Border Patrol chief, and that's Gregory Bovino. He was on with Sean last night talking about this issue. He says that this guy, this 37-year-old Chicago resident, Juan Espinoza Martinez, was charged with murder for hire. He was arrested yesterday. He is a ranking member of the Latin Kings, which is a gang known for violent crimes and drug trafficking across Chicago. He's from Mexico. He came to the United States illegally. And yes, on Snapchat, he was offering thousands of dollars if you take down Bovino. And he put a picture of Bovino on there.
Right, there you go. And by the way, who are the thugs? According to the governor, the thugs are the ones wearing bulletproof vests right there. And the guy in the middle, Latin Kings, I guess the governor's fine with that because these guys are running wild throughout Chicago, are really thriving for the last 20 years, but they don't want any help. Matt Scarpino says this. Targeting senior federal officers is a brazen and direct assault on the rule of law, and HSI will remain persistent, dismantling violent gangs like the Latin Kings that threaten public safety. So yesterday, we found out the Texas National Guard is going to be able to go in to join those, in the governor's words, those thugs called ICE agents and Border Patrol and ATF and FBI in order to get crime under control, but illegal immigrants under control.
Guys,
I also thought the drama yesterday of the police superintendent coming out saying that cops help cops, which is inaccurate because we heard the transmission of cops being told we were told to stand down. You know, I love that he said you cannot box in federal agents.
You're gonna get shot if you do
law
that.
enforcement. Right. I like that he said that, but I don't think he's being candid when he comes out and says that we would never stand down and not help law enforcement agents, because they didn't help law enforcement, and we heard and read the transmission of them saying we're told not to help.
And you're exactly right. I appreciated his comments of saying, because he got the pushback. You got the National Police Union as well as the local police union saying, you cannot do that. You cannot not back. You get a 1033 or 1013 on a radio, officers that need to assist, you show up to the scene. Now, he later said in that press conference, to your point, Brian, that if you box him in, you're going to get yourself shot. Meanwhile, Sean Hannity had Greg Bovino. He is the person that's being targeted, the commander. He's not someone that sits at a desk like most commanders do. He's on the ground in Chicago. This is him responding to all of this that's happening in Chicago.
Those assaults, those riots, that violence against federal officers, that happens every day here in Chicago. Just a couple of hours ago, Border Patrol agents were assaulted. We arrested 2 individuals, one with a gun. It's happening every day here in Chicago. And I'll tell you what, Sean, the rhetoric by those elected officials absolutely feeds this violence. And it will come to no good end, as you say, because we're here to stay. The National Guard's coming. It's coming for a reason. Definitely need the help here in Chicago. And, you know, look out, because we're here.
Right. You just can't pick and choose what law enforcement did you back. Walking around, if you ask any American now, they go, yeah, we never said don't defund the police. Okay, we all know that they did, and some of those lawmakers have been voted out. But now you're doing it 7 years later, you're doing it again. You're calling our law enforcement agents thugs. You're saying that they're the problem. You're actually saying, you had this mayor come out and say Donald Trump wants to refight the Civil War. I mean, can you say something more irresponsible than that?
It's just stupid. And last thing I would say, I know we got to move on. The Texas National Guard, they have experience with crowd control. They were the ones that were doing the border. When Joe Biden abandoned the state of Texas, we were paying for it ourselves. Billions and billions of dollars. They know how to handle these crowds. So you're not just going to get all due respect to all of our National Guard, but they have the experience in that area, controlling the area. So this is going to be great for
But we
Chicago.
could see them on the streets of Chicago any second now, any day.
But Portland doesn't. Portland can't have the National Guard help, and they need the help.
I'm Steve Ducey. I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart.
Well, you guys see what's going on in Chicago, and, you know, I think personally it's definitely getting out of control. I have one last video to kind of show you guys, just to kind of put a final point on it. Because like I said, these people, they don't get it. You know, of course, Mayor Johnson and Governor Pritzker is like, I don't see violence. I walk by on Michigan Avenue Beach, and, you know, at 6 in the morning, and I'm not getting mugged or nothing, with him going with 10 security guards at 6 a.m. Like, he ain't going into the hood, and he knows damn well that his city, the city of Chicago, is going down the drain. None of them give a crap about the normies. All they care about is themselves and money. Because, first of all, Pritzker, he's a Nepo baby. That man comes from money. You don't see him struggling at all. And same with Brandon Johnson. He's been getting caught up left and right in all kinds of fraudulent crap and stuff that he's doing illegally. So these two are just a couple knuckleheads, and hopefully they'll get voted out, you know, hopefully when it comes time to reelect. I'm hoping people in Chicago and Illinois are remembering what's going on right now, and that their mayor and their governor put them in this position, and vote them out. So let's go ahead and get into the last video. This is from, again, Fox News Clips. It says, nowhere near peaceful, ICE official fires back at Pritzker's protest claims.
Do they help ICE deal with illegal immigration, or their sanctuary city?
They are not cooperating, and I would ask that I wish Senator Durbin would condemn the governor for not cooperating with our law enforcement officers.
That's Attorney General Pam Bondi just moments ago, and this has Illinois Democrats. They are digging in their fight against ICE, and that includes Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson creating so-called ICE-free zones. Deputy ICE Director Madison Sheehan is with us. I'm so glad to have you on the show. I want you to listen to Governor Pritzker. This is what he says ICE is doing to them.
The job of our state police, the mission that they've been given, is to keep the people who are in Broadview and who are protesting safe from ICE, who have been firing gas pellets at people.
Why?
When they've been peacefully protesting. They're inciting.
Peacefully protesting. Y'all seen the video, and I'm eventually going to go live. You know, I can't go on the ground yet because I probably would need like additional equipment or even just, you know, for safety reasons, you know. Because I'm pretty sure once my face gets out there and my channel gets out there more, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a lot of hate and threats, but whatever. It is what it is. You know, I'd rather speak truth than, you know, sit here and just be like lying to you guys, you know. I think it's very important to be honest and just kind of give you guys the news and say, hey, this is what's going on. Take it, you know, the way you want, with a grain of salt, do your own research, you know. It's better to just be honest and give you the information and then you guys decide what you want to do with it, because that's how you empower people. You know, once they start peeling back that onion, they're going to realize like who's being honest, who's not. And just like I've told lots of people, I am not going to be silent. You know, the thing that happened with Charlie Kirk and his assassination, it woke me up to the reality of we all need to be like Charlie Kirk. We all need to make our voice heard. And we should no longer be silent about the atrocities that are happening around us. We all need to start speaking up in one voice and hold the line. And honestly, I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees. It's the truth, you know? And I know a lot of people, because trust me, I've been blocked and abandoned by my family, who are a bunch of leftists, because I don't walk in lockstep with them, because I think certain things differently than them. And that's okay. That's their opinion. That's their right. I just don't care. I'm not going to, you know, capitulate to anybody and say, just because you're my family, I need to agree with you. No, I'm going to call you out when you're wrong. You know, just like when I expect people to call me out when I'm wrong. I'm not always right. I'm learning as I go, and I'll make mistakes and stumble along the way, but I'm the type of person that I'll admit when I'm wrong and I'll correct myself. And, you know, I thank people for, you know, calling me out. Like, I go to school and when my teacher calls out my mistakes, I'm grateful for it, because that's how I'm going to become a better person once I learn from my mistake. And that's how it's supposed to be. But it's not supposed to be to this level of threats where people are being hurt. You know, this is getting way out of hand. And rhetoric from this man and this other guy that's standing behind him, it's just making it worse, because they're flat out lying. Like, flat out lying. And y'all have seen the videos I had of the peaceful protests. Okay, do people not remember the Summer of Love? What happened there, where Chaz Chop, where they took over city blocks? That was not peaceful. People were murdered during the George Floyd riots, you know. And I'm doing riots because, you know, the left calls it peaceful protests, the right calls it riots. Honestly, it starts off peaceful, and then night falls, and then bam, riots, which is why people have been murked during that time. Very sad to see, but, you know, hopefully you guys will also make your voices known and speak up when you have to. You know, speak truth to power. You know, hold these people's feet to the fire. Hold them accountable. We need to start taking back our country and our government and making sure that we're letting them know when they're in the wrong. That's why when Trump gets out of line and MAGA doesn't agree with them, or the right don't agree with them, they call out Trump. They're not sitting there walking in lockstep with them saying like, no, you know, we're going to defend him. No, you call him out, just like we're going to call out every single one of these people, whether you're left, right, or in the middle. We're going to call you out when you're wrong. That's it. But I'm going to end it right here, because I have so many thoughts, and I really just want to make sure I end it with this information. But, you know, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment below. Like, do you think what Pritzker and Mayor Johnson saying is true? Do you think that, you know, ICE and the Trump administration are making the situation worse, or do you think because of the rhetoric that Pritzker and Mayor Johnson are providing and spewing, it's making the situation worse instead of being honest? Because we all know Chicago is a S-hole, city. There always violence there. So let me know your guys' thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Hit that notification bell, and I will talk to you heathens later.